Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power of Man podcast. My name's Rory Paquette. I know you guys all know that, but I just want to let you know that it's not somebody else sitting here in my seat. It's really me. So I want to thank all you folks, as I do at the beginning of every episode, but today's a little special. We have passed a few benchmarks in terms of how many messages we've gotten and, how much movement we've had in the podcast. It's been huge. Just this week alone, we passed 500 DMs. I mean, that's messages from you guys to us talking about stuff. I could not be more grateful for your interaction and your interest in our podcast and what we do here. Folks, thank you. If you're not out there doing everything that you're doing, I don't get to sit here and do everything I'm doing. So, with that being said, please keep them coming because they have been some really awesome DMs and some very funny ones too. Folks, you know what time it is. If you're a regular listener of the program, if you're a friend of the program, you know it's time to pay a couple of bills. So, let me take a sip of my preferred beverage. Ooh. My wife just heated that up for me, and oh my gosh, it's fantastic. You all know what we're drinking. That's right. It's Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Folks, fantastic, fantastic company. Fantastic cup of coffee. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. Absolutely do all the right things for all the right reasons. And they support veterans, which you guys all know is incredibly important to us here at the Power of Man. That is why we support them. We have a veteran with us here today. I'm honored to say. And folks, go check them out. Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Tell them that Power of Man sent you. Let me get another sip of this so I can keep up with this guy across the table from me here. I'll be drinking that throughout the entire episode. Folks, we have a great guest with us today. All right. Army veteran, like I mentioned to you before. First time author of the book, It's a Great Life If You Don't Weaken. And I cannot wait to hear where that title came from. Folks, please welcome to the show, Brian Hampton. Brian, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Rory. Thanks for having me on your highly acclaimed show.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this. I love the title. I can't wait to hear all about it. But before we get into all that stuff, let me just offer this up. Tell our listeners, who is Brian Hampton? What are you about? What brings you here today, brother?
Well, I've had many different careers and jobs and occupations. You mentioned being an Army officer. Um, but at the age of 81, I became a first-time published author and by a renowned international publisher, Morgan James. So
Nice,
it just came out just in the last few months.
nice, nice. Congrats on that. I mean, Morgan James, that's not a small outfit.
Very, very revered international premier publisher.
Nice. Okay. How long were you in the Army, if you don't mind me asking?
Thanks for asking. I was 2.5 years active and then 23 years reserved, I like to say, because I liked all the meetings. So I did 8 weeks basic training at Fort Dix, 8 weeks AIT at Fort Dix, and then 23 and a half weeks of crawling through the mud at Fort Benning. And then I got 6 months at Fort Bragg. I was teaching special forces, colonels and majors classes in psychological operations and communications at the JFK Center for Special Warfare. And then I went and served a year in Vietnam.
Wow. Wow. Again, thank you for your service, sir. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, teaching special forces on psychological warfare. My goodness, where did you learn that?
Well, I earned a couple master's degrees. One was in communications from Michigan State. And then my first assignment as an officer was at Fort Bragg. And I had to study up. I had to know my stuff, as you can imagine, Rory. I'm a newly minted second lieutenant, and I'm teaching classes to colonels and majors. So you better believe I had to know my stuff. And according to the proctors who came in to listen to me, I did, and I did well.
Nice.
Luckily for me.
Nice. I imagine that would be a little intimidating for a brand new second lieutenant, huh?
It was. It was. I had they got I had a lot of, sharpshooters, but I was able to handle them. I remember one, Rory, particularly. I did a class in psychological operations. I did one in persuasive communications. I did one in communist propaganda agitation organizations. And then I did one on the area study, which I wrote myself. And I gave the full class. And some colonel stood up and said, Lieutenant, are we to understand that you wrote this entire synopsis for this entire class? I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, why should we believe a word that you said? And I said, because the Army says so.
Nice answer. All right.
He
Was that
sat
enough for
down.
him?
He sat down.
Wow, good for you defending yourself right off the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
that had to be rough.
I still remember it.
Oh man, I'll bet. All right, so you're teaching classes. What else did you do over there?
Well, I was a section chief and I went over there as a small unit infantry platoon leader,
Hmm.
but I ended up being the section chief of the Fourth Psychological Operations Group. So the Army, and all its infinite wisdom, decided to use my brains, perceived brains, rather than all the training I had with all these weapon systems to wage psychological operations and try to get the enemy to lay down their arms and go away peacefully. And we got uh, I guess 60 or 70,000 that did that through the Chuhai program.
Wow, wow, peaceful solutions, huh? I mean, that's interesting.
Yes, yes.
Nice, nice, and that was you working on that stuff over there.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was in charge of the section.
Wow. I mean, this is some heavy stuff. This is. I mean, congratulations, two master's degrees.
Well, one was a master's from Michigan State that you know about, and the other
Hmm.
was an advanced degree, Command and General Staff College. Essentially, the Army teaching you how to be a general. It took about 6 years to get through all the classes, remote and residency.
Wow. And you were in for a long time, so there must have been something about, the service that appealed to you.
Well, I got the commission. I was just delighted and happy it was over with. I'll tell you, it took me about 10 years before I really appreciated what I'd really done to
Mhm.
earn that commission. One of the hardest things I ever done. And the training I didn't really like so much, but I was pretty good at it. So later on, I realized that it was really quite an achievement. So I decided to stay active in the Army Reserve, and I had assignments around the country. I went back to Fort Bragg. They had me teach again 3 times. I had an assignment at the Pentagon where I worked at the Army Operations Center, top secret clearance in the Army Reserve. So I stayed active for 23 years in the reserve.
Wow. Wow. When you got out, did you serve in the private sector someplace? I mean, I'm assuming you turned that into a job somewhere, right?
My first job back from Vietnam, Rory, was working for an advertising agency.
Hmm.
And later on, I was a federal government employee. And later, I was a political consultant. Then later, I was a fundraiser. And then at a certain point, on and off, I was a dreaded telemarketer. I was a bill collector putting my way through graduate school. I've had many different jobs and occupations.
Sounds like you're willing to grind and do whatever you have to do to bring that money in, right?
Every 6 months or so, I tell my wife about some job I've had that she doesn't know about. She says, how long did you have that one? 3 months? Oh, yeah, 4 months, 3 months.
Nice. And she hasn't heard about it either.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're all new to her.
oh my gosh. All right. I love that. And here you are today, and you've written a book. It's a great life if you don't weaken. I mean, I'm not sure how much you've heard of the Power Man podcast, but one of our tenets here is never let them see you weak. And so that's one of those things. I'm loving the title. Let me ask you this though: is your service something that played a big role in the book, or is the book more about life?
It's more about techniques I've learned for dealing with really hundreds of them, dealing with distressing predicaments and people we all encounter far too often. The tagline of the book is, of course, the full title is A Great Life If You Don't Weaken, and the rest is how to deal with the ups and downs in life and the jerks in between.
Nice. All right. Well, so we're not pulling any punches in the title at all. I love it. So I got to know. It's a great life if you don't weaken. There's a meaning behind that, I'm sure. What can you tell us about it? I know you don't want to give away the secret sauce of the book. People, if they want to know what's in this book, they can buy the book. But anything you can tell us today to entice somebody to want to buy it is helpful, and I'm dying to know what that means. If you don't weaken.
Well, it occurred to me, and it was the book, Roy, was 5 years in the making, and I found that writing the book was about 5% of the effort to get it published. And it occurred to me one day that I'd learned a lot of techniques the long and hard way, as most people do, about how to deal with distressing people and circumstances. So I sat down and started writing a chapter at a time. And I have chapters on how to deal with doctors, lawyers, dentists, plumbers, insurance companies, rude people, plumbers, all the people that cause bad customer service that give us grief and consternation.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you literally go profession by profession talking about how you deal with these folks, or is it this is how you deal with difficult people in general?
Oh, the longest chapter is on how to deal with the doctors, and then that's the longest one.
All right.
And how to deal with the lawyers, I have that in there. The dentist, oh, I get into the nitty gritty with all the techniques I've learned um, with making your life a little easier and how to have a better chance to live a great life.
Interesting. So, I mean, you come out, you name names and bring receipts. I mean, you go after this stuff. Is this based on all on your own experience, or is any of this from somebody else or from something you've heard or anything else? It's all you?
It's all my own experiences. I've had more than I ever needed to have.
There you go. Okay, so wow. Now you've had training in this then, in terms of like the psychological work and how to handle these difficult situations from the military and from your education. So I'm assuming that's kind of where a lot of this comes from, plus experience.
Mostly experience, and some of it I had to look back on to figure out how I dealt with difficult people. And some of it's intuitive, and some of it's a lot of it's based on empirical experience dealing with difficult people.
Interesting. Okay, so real life instances and how to handle them. Man, that's useful. I'm not sure I've seen a book quite like that. So I'm really looking forward to taking a look at this thing. It is published now, right?
It is published, and you're right, it's really exceeds most every genre because the self-help books encourage us, Rory, to look within. But this book encourages us to look outside of ourselves and deal with the difficult people and circumstances outside of our life. All the self-help books say, well, you can solve your problems by helping yourself. And that's a good thing. I've never read a bad self-help book,
Mhm.
but they don't deal with the problems of the people and predicaments out there.
So these are actual strategies on how to deal with, in
Right,
particular, careers. That's interesting.
right.
All right. And again, wouldn't want you to ever give away the secrets from inside the book. Can you give me an
One,
example of maybe one profession, one thing, just so people have an idea of what's in this book and they want to, go pick it up?
boy, there's so there's so many of them.
Hmm.
Um, let me talk about doctors a little bit. How's that?
I think everybody here has had a problem with a doctor, so
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Well, the way, unlike lawyers who need to be analytical, the way doctors get through medical school is they need to be able to memorize. And they can memorize, they can get through medical school.
Hmm.
And I've had hundreds of appointments with lawyers, or I mean with doctors. And the one thing that they have the biggest problem with is making a diagnosis. I've found
Okay.
making a diagnosis. And they typically put their cap on and inadvertently or subconsciously scare the wits out of this. Um, and
Yeah.
so we all, especially men don't like to go to the doctor too much. We need to avoid getting into the medical vortex. I'll give you one example. I saw my general practitioner. He was very good at the diagnosis, but he noticed the problem I had, and I noticed it on my tongue. So he suggested that I go to an ears, nose, and throat guy. And I went to the office and I saw in the lobby a justice of the Supreme Court waiting. And so I said, boy, this must be a great doctor. And I was called in, and the doctor, ears, nose, and throat doctor, looked at my tongue and he said, well, I strongly recommend that you get this cut out and do a biopsy. And I said, well, why would I want to do that? He said, well, most people want to know whether you have cancer or not. And I said, not today. I'm not going to do it today. So it happened. A couple of days later, I had an appointment with a dentist, and he looked at my mouth and he says, Brian, I call him Dr. Payne. He gave me a lot of extra injections.
Okay.
But this day he did me a favor. He says, it looks like you have a canker sore. Try some of this peroxol oral rinse. I got a bottle of it. 2 days later, the canker sore was gone. I went back to the doctor. I held it up for him. I said, it's gone. I took this. And the guy said, never heard of it. So my, that's just one story. We have to keep ourselves out of the medical vortex, not too many tech, not too many tests, and go conservative at the beginning before you get caught in the medical vortex. Otherwise, you'll get stuck.
Never heard of it. Never heard of a canker sore. I mean, my kids heard of that when they were 6. What an answer. Not, hey, I'm glad that worked out.
Why
Nothing.
did cut it out and do a biopsy?
Oh, man. Wow. Wow. What a story. So that's the type of stuff that's in the book is stuff like that, stories and anecdotes and don't get caught in the medical vortex.
Well, that's yeah, that's the doctors. A lot of stuff on the
Right.
doctors.
Right.
The core part of the book, Rory, is probably about quick responses for difficult people when we got caught in an unavoidable confrontation with a nasty person. They're not trying to be cordial, and they're not looking for a resolution. Could be customer service or whatever. And what I found was that if we are talking about ourselves, well, I feel this, I did this, or I feel this, we're being defensive because we're talking about ourselves. So, what we need to do, and this is a core technique in the book, is to make it about the other person. So they'll be on the defensive, get them talking about themselves. So you can say, this issue is not about me. this issue is about you. And there's some quick comeback counters for particularly nasty people I've come up with. It's in chapter 3. Like I said, these are people who are not looking for a resolution. You could say stuff like, you're confused, or which part didn't you understand? Or if it's bad customer service, they keep interrupting you. You could say, why don't we try this? I'll talk and you listen, and then you talk and I'll listen. That one actually works sometimes.
Wow. All right. I wish I could see some of this like, play out in real life. That would be just hilarious. I mean, it's very matter of fact. And I think it sounds like it's stuff that we all think, but we don't actually say. And you're basically saying, just say it.
Say it. Yes, it's not about, this is not about me. This is about you. When I mention that, it seems obvious, but at the time when we're caught in something like this, it's not so obvious that we get caught and dragged into a discussion and we get on the defensive. So what we need to do is put the ball back in their court and leave it there.
Love it. Absolutely love it. It's making me wonder. You've got, all this experience that you have in the Army and the private sector in your life. What makes Brian Hampton, wake up one day and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book and it's going to be about this. Where'd the inspiration for that come from? What made you think of that?
My wife and I were living in Northern Virginia in Arlington one day. Very unusual. We had a lot of snow. I knew I wasn't going to the office that day. So I thought, well, how can I make myself useful? And then the thought occurred to me because of all these jobs and all these occupations I've had, I've learned all these techniques. It occurred to me that I could write a book and hopefully get a lot of readers and get some satisfaction in making a positive difference in the lives of others.
Wow. So an unexpected day off, and you said, I'm just going to see if I can write a book.
That was the beginning of it. My
That's
wife came
great.
in and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a book. She said, okay, sure you are. Sure you are.
It sounds like my wife. What crazy thing are you doing now? And I just tell her, and she's like, "Yeah, okay," because nothing surprises her anymore. So, man, well, that's fantastic. All right, so you decide you're going to write the book, and I know you said it took you a while. I also caught that you slipped in there that writing the book was just very small part of getting it published. It sounds like maybe you had a little difficulty with that process.
Oh, yes. Your listeners maybe know, a lot of people don't know that book publishers really don't do any marketing at all. They expect the authors to do all the marketing. And unless you have you're on TV every other week and have tens of thousands of followers, they don't want to take you on because they want to be convinced that you can make the sales. So becoming a first time uh, author when I hadn't been published was really a challenge. It took me 5 years. It took me, I spent 2 years trying to get a literary agent, and the guy
Mm,
didn't do anything. And then it took me another 2 years to get Morgan James, a very premier international publisher, and finally got it out. And I'm getting some satisfaction from readers telling me that the techniques have made a positive difference in their lives.
that's fantastic. Now, the Morgan James, did you secure them yourself, or did you go through the literary agent
I
even
went,
after he didn't do
I
anything?
went directly to them. My my agent, I called him AWOL Al. He was never could reach him.
So you weren't a high enough priority on his list for the
No,
return
no,
phone call.
not
Okay.
exactly. No.
And I don't mean to offend any literary agents because I personally have never dealt with one, but I've had many authors come on the show who have very similar, statements about literary agents. about how either you're the hot topic or you're immediately put on the pay no mind list. And yeah, it sounds like you got put over there.
Well, they're by the truckload.
Okay, and I lost you for just a minute. Are you back? Can you hear me? Hey, this happens in podcasting sometimes, folks. This is how this goes.
So I can see you.
That's right. Hey, every once in a while this happens in podcasting. So let me just make sure that we're doing well. So we got. All right, we're hanging in there, folks. Hang in there with us. Hang in there with us. All right. And I'm trying to get him back. Big Brother didn't want him telling all the secrets. So messed us up just a little bit here. What have we got? Hmm. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can see you as
Hey,
well.
all right. Recording is in progress. I don't think we lost anything. I think we're okay. Maybe a minute or two of a little bit of a glitch, but all right. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, beautiful. All right. I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with that. We have good weather here today. So, but you never know. This is the life of a podcaster. You know, you're in the hands of the internet gods sometimes. The last thing that I think I heard from you was we were talking about the literary agents being put on the pay no mind list. And then I think I lost you at that point.
They're excellent literary agents, and if you get one, hang on to them. But they're like book publishers. They in advance they need to be convinced that you can sell a boatload of books in order to take you on.
I see. Okay. Now I'm a little curious. I understand why the agent would feel that way because they're trying to represent you. And I'm sure that they have some kind of a commission set up. But the publisher themselves, don't they get the lion's share of the money of the book anyway? And they're not
Oh,
willing to do anything for you?
that's precisely right.
Hmm. Okay. But they won't do any publication or anything or any publicity for you, even though they're taking all the money.
Some do, but really very little. They expect the authors to do all the marketing,
Got it. So
almost
obviously
all.
you're coming on podcast shows and doing that to market it. What else have you been doing to market the book? I'm curious.
Rory, I'm thrilled and delighted to be on your show because I've had so many marketing dead ends. I've spent a world of time trying to enjoy and get a hold of bloggers. But I found with bloggers, it's kind of a one-way street. They want to talk about themselves, but not anybody else. I've sent out a lot of news releases. I've mailed 25 books to book review magazines. I've called 100 bookstores twice, followed up with packages. I've done any number of things, but I found that the podcaster are really the best in terms of time and energy and connecting and engaging with potential readers.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'm just on behalf of my industry. I'm glad to hear that you're having good experiences with that. By and large, that's why we're here. Is to deliver messages for our guests. So I'm glad to hear that. That's cool. Yeah, sounds like you've been doing a lot of podcast guesting.
Just lately, just the last month or so, it's been a lot of fun, very rewarding.
Excellent. Okay, good. Well, hopefully it's going to help you sell some books too. I know that can take a minute, for that to translate, but that is the first step in getting the word out, right?
Exactly, exactly. 2 million books published every year, and reading books is almost a lost art these days.
Now, is it an ebook and an audio book also, or just hardback? How's it packaged?
It's a paperback and an ebook on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the usual places one buys books.
Sure. You haven't done the audiobook yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. I mean, those are pretty big. It's funny. I have two sons. One of them swears by the old style actual book in his hand. Just loves the feel of it, and that's
Yeah.
how he reads. And my other one absolutely will not touch a book with his hand, but he will listen to audiobooks and gobble those up and remember them like nobody's business. I bet he goes through 2 books a week on audiobooks. And so it's a big platform. Yeah, if you can get yourself on the audiobook thing, is your publisher willing to do that, or do you have to do that yourself too?
I haven't gotten that far, Rory, but that's a good idea. I might try to record that myself.
Go for it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
will. Excellent idea.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm glad I could help. Hope it does. Yeah, those are a big deal. And what's funny is both my boys are in their 20s. You would think that an ebook would be the first thing they'd go to, but trying to read a book on their phones, they're like, nah. No. So it's either the actual book or the audio book is what they love. But this is great. How long has it been published? How long has it been out for you?
It came out July 30th of 2024.
I see. So almost a year.
Yeah, right.
About 11 months. Okay. Excellent. All righty. Are you doing anything on social media? Pumping it up that way?
I have a Facebook account, but I'm not smart enough to know how to put the cover up on Facebook.
I understand. I understand. It's not easy trying to do what you're doing. So I admire the heck out of you for, breaking all this new ground and trying to do it. It took you years to get this book out. It must have been some kind of a passion project for you. You must have really wanted to get this thing out into the public.
I did. I was very persistent. You have to be very, very persistent. But as one of your fellow podcasters pointed out to me, Rory, I mean, you get a book out, and then your children, then your grandchildren, maybe your grandchildren can read about you and find out maybe what you're like, and you have a legacy out there that
Hmm.
makes a difference for your being alive and being in this wonderful country.
Absolutely. Do you have children and grandchildren? I'm just curious.
I have 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren.
Holy cow. Congratulations.
Well,
Man, that's
thank you.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I have not been lucky enough to have the grandkids yet, but all my kids are young. So we're close. We're really close. So I had my youngest son got married in this past year, and my older son and my daughter are both getting married this October. So then all my kids will be married, and then I'm going to be like, hey, clock's ticking. Give me some grandkids. Let's go.
congratulations, Dad.
I appreciate it. I love your journey that you've been on. I think it's hilarious that you just said, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So you just sat down and did it. That sounds like maybe that's just how you operate. Have you always just kind of jumped out, taken action, and said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, so let's just do it?
It's kind of that old line, take bold steps and powerful forces will come to your aid.
Ah, okay. I like that. The book itself, who is it? Maybe it's just written to everybody, but is there a particular, I don't know, person or, category of people that you wrote it to?
I didn't write it with any target audience in mind, but the people who read it, and that's a great question, said this book is particularly suitable for men
Mm,
because men are typically interested in transactional activities and techniques. And your book will appeal to men probably more than women because it deals with techniques. So the targeted audience is probably men between 25 and 65 or 70 or 80 or whatever.
cool. Excellent. I was picking some of that up. That's why I asked the question. I didn't want to go out and say that or assume it, but I had a feeling, especially with the way you're talking about answering, handling the problems. It's a very thinking man sort of, logical response type of thing that you were giving examples of.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
a
Okay.
lot of techniques. There are about 12, and I counted them. There are about 12 in every chapter. Lots of techniques. There's also a part in there about how to power up your career that deals with
Mm.
how to run your own mastermind group or how to prepare for an interview or public speaking and
Wow.
time management.
Okay, definitely appealing to men for sure right now. Not that, women aren't in those type of things, but I didn't realize that. So this is an actual self-help book in a lot of ways, not just in dealing with difficult people, huh?
Well, yes, yeah, that part certainly is.
Yeah, good to know. Have you done public speaking?
I've given a couple hundred speeches around the country.
A couple hundred.
Right.
So yeah, you're a public speaker. Holy cow. Congratulations on that too. I mean, you
Well,
definitely
thanks.
qualified to be given that advice. That's great to know.
Couple
What
hundred.
what type of things have you spoken on?
Well, I spoke for advocacy organizations and for political candidates around the country. And
Oh,
although I've given all these speeches, I have to say I'm pretty much a perfectionist. Was nervous before every one of them. I think if I wasn't nervous, it would because I didn't care and I cared a lot. I was nervous before a lot of them. I think one of my better chapters is public speaking, and my daughter had a lot of interviews where she had to give a presentation. And God bless her, she went back and read my chapter on public speaking and said she learned to quote her from some tips and tricks how to get relaxed before she started the presentation. So I was very proud of her. And she actually did 13 interviews and 4 presentations, finally got the job.
wow. No kidding. Man, I mean, that kind of changes the whole makeup of the book, having that kind of stuff in it. I mean, I didn't realize that was part of the makeup. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I forget part of it sometimes. The last part is making friends and love and marriage too. That's the very part 5.
Really? All right. Now we're getting into the meat of it here. So, marriage advice. I mean, wow,
How,
you are putting yourself out there, brother.
how long do I have? I can tell you in a half a minute or maybe a minute. My wife and I went on one of these cruises, and they had entertainment every night. One of them was, the cruise director. He's in charge of the entertainment. He had
Mhm.
a session called Love and Marriage. He had 3 couples out there. One that had just been married, one that had been married for 20 years, and one that had been married for 50 years. And um, the first couple got a lot of laughs. I won't say what they said because the cruise director said if there was a parrot in the room, what would the parrot say? And uh, the woman's response was so outrageous it brought the house down. But I won't tell you what she said the parrot said.
Okay.
And then there was the couple that was married for 20 years, and there was a couple married for 50 years. And she was very demure and had glasses and was looking down. He was a very sturdy guy, looked like a former Marine. And the cruise director said, now you've been married for 50 years. What is the secret of your success? And the guy looked up and said, surrender.
Wow. All right. I mean, is that the advice in the book, kind of in a nutshell?
That, that's the bottom line of that category.
There you go. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's bad advice.
Well,
You know,
the old line, a happy wife is a happy life. So
sure. Yeah, I've been with my wife more over 30 years, man. So I understand that. There's a whole lot of truth to it, whether we like it or not.
congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, all right, that's wonderful. All right. I love the idea behind the book. It sounds like it's encompassed a lot. I mean, this is all from your life. So were you just kind of going down saying, what do I want to give advice on, as if you were in fact passing down the legacy of Brian, to your family?
It didn't really occur to me that way. And it's, of course, nonfiction. And the way I wrote the book was I just wrote a chapter at a time, whatever occurred to me. And then I thought, in order to sell this, it's got to hang together some way or other. So I divided it into five categories, um, and then organized it. So I didn't really write it from beginning to end. I wrote each chapter separately. Each chapter is self-contained. The book is not meant to be read cover to cover. The book is meant to people to cherry pick. For example, if you're going to have a tooth extraction, what do you do before that? If you want to fire your lawyer and do it so they're happy about it, go to this page. The answer to that is you say to your lawyer, let's settle up. That's a line that lets them know that you want out, you're going to pay them, and it works.
Right. Wow. Okay. I love it. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to read it. I wish that I would have been able to read it before the podcast. I do try to do that whenever I can, but I just am I think I have 18 books I'm trying to get caught up on right now because we've had so many authors on. But sir, yours is incredibly unique,
Thank
and
you.
I love what you're doing with it. It's very human. It's very personable. It's very you. And I mean, it sounds like advice from Brian about life.
It sounds a little over the top, but I guess you could say that. Yeah, it sounds a little condescending for me, but yeah, it's kind of that. Yeah.
I certainly wasn't trying to be condescending to you.
No, no, I mean it sounds, no, not at all. I mean, it sounds, if I said that about myself, I would be condescending.
Oh, I see. All right. So you're being humble. I understand.
Yeah,
You still filled up an entire book, with a major publisher with stuff that you've gleaned, over your life. So, I mean, give yourself a little bit of grace there, brother. This is an accomplishment. This really is. Congratulations
well,
on getting it published and out there.
thank you very much.
Very, very cool. Very
Very
cool.
empowering.
If folks want to, go get the book, website, best way to find it, contact you. What do you want me to put out there for everybody?
Sure. Did the website 5 years ago. It's still up there, amazingly. And of course, I'm not smart enough to put the cover of the book up there, but the name of the book is up there. And I actually get emails through it. And it's called Brian with an I, Brian, author, like writer, Hampton.com. So it's Brian, author, Hampton.com.
Gotcha. I'll make sure that's in our show notes. I'll check it out and make sure our links are working, and we'll get that in the show notes for you so people have a way to go pick up the book after they hear all about it from hearing it straight from your mouth. I love this, and Brian, we've unpacked a lot. You've talked about a lot of your life and everything today, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. Let me make sure we didn't miss anything though. Okay, so as we kind of wrap things up, is there anything that I didn't ask you? Anything that maybe we talked about and you want to sort of hammer home a little more? Or is there any maybe just a nugget advice, something like that you want to leave with the audience? I'm gonna give you the floor here for the last minute or two, okay? And you go ahead and wrap however you think we should.
Well, you've really drawn me out. I really appreciate it. And I sort of think that if I have a motto for living, probably make it short, and that is, Rory, that we should all strive to do what we can, where we are, with what we have.
Hmm.
Never too late to write a book. It's never too late to start a new project. And it's important that we believe in ourselves and take time to make friends.
Nice. Nice. You know, sir, I got to tell you, you're an incredibly inspiring guy. And I know people who are in their 30s who talk to me, in private and say they feel like their life is over and, well, it's too late to do this and it's too late to do that, and they feel stuck. And you are sitting here at 81 years old, writing a book, getting it published with a major publisher, and you are basically sending a message to every man out there that it is never too late to go break new ground. And I'm incredibly impressed and inspired by what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rory.
Well,
And thank you enough.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing everything that you did. Author, Army vet, father and grandfather. We got to add that in there. That's important. 81-year-old first-time author, Brian Hampton, author of It's a Great Life If You Don't Weaken. Folks, absolutely fantastic. You got to check this book out. I'm going to get it, and not only am I going to get it, but when I'm reading it, I'm going to make sure that I talk about it in our episodes, our solo ones, and put it online. And we're going to market this a little and see if we can help Brian out. And we're going to put this out for him. Folks, go pick up this book. I'm telling you right now, this is the type of thing you want to support no matter what. Brian, thanks again for coming on.
You are the power man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Folks, this has been another awesome episode of The Power of Man. I'm blown away by what I've been able to talk to Brian about today. The reason that we bring powerful men like this on who are doing these absolutely powerful things and bringing these messages to you is because, we support you in your mission to be a better protector, a better provider, a better leader tomorrow than you are today. We support you in your mission to be a better father, a better husband, a better man tomorrow than you are today. And the reason that we support that is because you are worth it. You have value. And at some point, brothers, you got to believe it. Until next time.